Go
and
for it.
and just give you a little bit of an insight to how we use Notion at the Rites of Passage Institute. I started using Notion personally back in probably 2019, and then in 2020 really began to understand how it can be used. And ever since then, I've used it for all my personal life admin, and in companies that I've worked in, I've used it to help us organize what we do. So for context, the Rites of Passage Institute, I've been on board as CEO for the last 6 months almost. And what I've done is use Notion to help collate and organize and communicate everything that we do. So there is so much I could show you, but I want to just give a snapshot on a few ways in which we use it. And if nothing else, to give you an insight to what's possible. I will start by saying there's a few key lessons. If nothing else, just remember these, because these are the things that I've learned through my experience of lots of trial and error and lots of wasted time as well. The first thing is, before you even open the platform and start designing databases or building pages, the most important thing for me, because I've wasted so much time doing that, the most important thing is start with the end in mind. What is it that you want to create? I've got a couple of examples, and the way in which I like to do this is on paper. So this is the back of a menu that Paz and I drew all over a couple of months ago now. This is a framework. There's lots of organizational structure and some suggestions here. That's one thing I've used to help design some of the architecture of these Notion pages. And this is another one. This is just another big piece of paper where I'll sit down and go, well, like with all the stuff that we have, all the stuff that we need to do, everything I want to communicate, everything I want to build, how do I even start? And so just to map it out visually for me has been really, really helpful. Because once you start talking to Notion, the agents, the AI in there, it's incredible what you can do. And what I find is that I get really distracted and I go down the rabbit hole of building something super complicated that's not actually what it is that I need. And then I try and share that with the team to explain what, and it's too much. So keeping it really simple to start with is helpful. And it is a learning curve, obviously. YouTube videos, the Notion YouTube channel has got some great videos on whatever it is that you need to do. Let me briefly just show you a couple of examples of how we use this. When it comes to candidate track, Notion replaces so many other platforms. It replaces an applicant tracking system for hiring, a database for all of our, not only our customers, but all our staff information, all our client information, all of our processes are all stored in here. I'm going to skip the onboarding and the hiring stuff, but there's forms that you can create really easily. All the data that's collated in the forms goes to a database, which makes everything super easy to find, reference, tag, and actually use. This is an overview of we use OKRs. We've got quarterly focuses. Each OKR for each quarter has projects and it has tasks associated. And once you start mapping them all out, it gets really, really complicated. So if we go to our tasks database, there's a heap of stuff in here and it looks really complicated. If we build and I'm really happy building a complicated database and not be overwhelmed by that, because we can start to filter the database by how we want to view it and what we want to see. So there's an example of that. Dashboards. Dashboards I love when it comes to viewing a lot of complex data. So I'm just really skipping through this at the superficial level, but an example of a dashboard view there is great. I'm just going to show you one last thing before I hand it over to Paz, because I could literally spend, and I do spend, sort of far too long talking about this sort of stuff. But in the context of a community, you know, something that we all need to do is create content. This is our content calendar, our content database. This is stuff that we've posted, stuff we've got posted coming up. It's really complex and complicated. However, once we start looking at these filtered views, it makes it, you know, easy for us to track what's going where, what's coming up, how we organize content across different platforms and channels and stuff. And so I work with a couple of people in the team on this, and it's our source of truth. We can all be in there and doing what we need to do. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to leave it at that just for a second and show you one last thing before I hand back to Paz. What is going to be really helpful and relevant for building community, I think, is client-facing or published pages. So this is an example of one of the camps that we run. It's a mother-son camp, and we have pages that we can share. We can publish to the web for participants to view, which has all the information that they need on there. And it's a great way for us to share information without having to send heaps of emails.